Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for leaving my fiancé after he left me in the Cayman Islands on vacation? My ex-fiancé and I were together for just under 3 years. When we first got together, he was in a tough spot, homeless with twin kids. I let him move into my one-bedroom apartment, even though it was a huge inconvenience for me. I rearranged everything to make space for his children and stepped into a motherly role, taking care of them more than he did. Despite everything I did, he had serious jealousy issues. I never gave him a reason to be jealous, but he had a past of infidelity, so I guess he was projecting. Once, while watching Spider-Man 2, I casually mentioned that Jamie Foxx looked good for his age. That one comment sent him spiraling. He packed all his stuff and everything I had bought for his kids while I was at work and moved out. My friends still call it the Jamie Foxx debacle. We eventually made amends and stayed together for 2 more years. In April of that year, he proposed, and shortly after, I found out I was pregnant. We were both excited about welcoming our baby girl, but in my second trimester, I miscarried. I was devastated. While I was grieving, he said something that broke me. It's not hard for me because I already have a son and daughter. A month later, we went on a family vacation to the Cayman Islands for my parents' 25th wedding anniversary. My parents paid for everything: flights, the Airbnb, groceries. All we had to cover were excursions and alcohol. On day 3 of the trip, out of nowhere, he accused me of cheating while I was pregnant. As awful as that was, the next day was worse. My family and I went snorkeling, but we ended up taking my parents back to the house early because my mom had a migraine. That left my fiancé, my sister, her boyfriend, my youngest sister, 15 at the time, and me. While the rest of us swam, the guys were having drinks at the bar. When we returned, my fiancé started complaining about how he couldn't even afford a haircut, despite recently getting a promotion to $85,000 per year. I playfully joked, "It's not like he can't afford it, he just likes my haircuts better." He completely lost it. He yelled at me, stormed off, and disappeared for an hour. When we finally found him, he drove us back to the Airbnb like a maniac. Everyone in the car, including my little sister, was terrified. Back at the house, he threw a tantrum, slamming doors, huffing, and yelling at my parents. I begged everyone to calm down, but the situation escalated. That night, he bought a $700 last-minute plane ticket home and left in the middle of the night without a word. Yes, the man who couldn't afford a haircut managed to buy a ticket on a whim. When we got back home, I tried to hold the relationship together because I wanted it to work so badly. But eventually, I realized I had to leave. I weaned myself off his kids and forced him to be their parent again. So, am I the bad person for leaving him? I gave everything to this relationship, ignored countless red flags, and sacrificed my own well-being. I loved his kids and wanted a future with him, but at what cost? Was I wrong for walking away? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for refusing to pay for a lunch I never attended? My mom, 49F, and her fiancé, 52M, invited my husband, 30M, and I, 27F, to a lunch this past Saturday. The invitation to the lunch was made over dinner a week before. At the time, we had agreed to the lunch while knowing my SIL had also made plans that same day that we were invited to. We opted to go for the lunch over the SIL's plans, pickleball and day drinking by the pool at the time, but about 2 days later my husband decided he wanted to go to SIL instead. I, on the other hand, was not keen to do that and had expressed this to my mom, telling her it was likely that neither of us would attend her lunch plans because my husband wanted to see his sister and I wanted to just stay home. This conversation happened several times throughout the week leading up to their lunch plans on Saturday. On the Tuesday, my mom's fiancé messaged my husband to let him know that he had ordered enough prawns for 10 people for the lunch and that we were to organize crayfish and a side dish. My husband responded that he would not be making it anymore. Mom's fiancé, obviously annoyed, said not to worry and that he would invite other friends instead. As the week went on, my mom kept asking for confirmation if we would make it, and I would tell her, please don't cater for us, as I don't want to commit to coming in case I don't. SIL's plans were in the morning, and by the time her event came to an end we would have been able to make it to their lunch. However, we were too tired from being in the sun most of the morning. We also have a 3-month-old daughter, so times the exhaustion by 3. On the day though, I told my mom that if we were up to it we might pop in, but if not I would let her know, and she seemed fine with that. Anyway, I did let her know we weren't going to make it, and we left it at that. 3 days later, today, my mom messaged my husband telling him that he owes her a 600 rand for the prawns that were not cooked on Saturday, as they were ordered specifically for us. The prawns had been sitting in her fridge since Saturday, defrosted. I called my mom asking what she was talking about, and she then said that her fiancé was livid that we did not come to the lunch and that they expect us to pick up the uncooked prawns and pay them the 600 rand. My husband and I were dumbfounded. I don't think it's our responsibility to cough up the money when they had been given more than enough warnings that we would likely not make it. Also, before anyone says, yeah well they ordered the prawns, it was a regular store where even if an order had been placed, it would make no difference if you went there and simply decided to purchase less for the day instead. They only picked the prawns up on the day of the lunch. I had also made it clear to them that in the event that we did join their lunch, we would stop at the store before coming over to bring enough for us so that they didn't under/over cater. My mom is now saying that it's less about the money and more about the principle that we didn't commit to plans. My issue is that firstly, if we knew we were expected to pay for these dumbass prawns, why was this not mentioned sooner? She literally told my husband to pick them up and leave the cash on her kitchen counter. My husband wants to keep the peace by just giving them the cash and collecting the prawns, but never making future plans with them again to avoid any surprise invoices from them again. But I feel very strongly about not giving into their childish behavior and letting them think this is okay. Both of us are still scratching our heads wondering if we're missing something, because we both feel like this is not on us to foot the bill for their food. Are we the bad people if we don't pay for the prawns? Are you seeing anything from this story that we might be missing? A different perspective would help if we are somehow in the wrong. What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for telling my pregnant sister she's on her own after she took my car? I am at my wit's end with my younger sister, Sophie, 18F. She's pregnant, living at home with our parents, and not exactly the most responsible person in the world. I've been helping Sophie a lot since she found out she was expecting. I've driven her to appointments, bought her baby essentials, and even gave her some money to help her out. But last week, she completely crossed the line, and now my whole family is mad at me. I work full-time and rely on my car to get around. It's not fancy, but I've worked hard to pay it off. I always keep my keys in my bag, which I leave by the door when I'm at my parents' house. Last Saturday, I woke up and couldn't find my car keys. I thought I misplaced them, but when I looked outside, my car was gone. I freaked out and called Sophie, who casually told me she borrowed it to go visit her boyfriend an hour away. She didn't ask. She didn't leave a note. She just took it. When she finally brought the car back later that evening, the tank was nearly empty, and there was a scratch on the side. I was furious. I told her she had no right to take my car without asking, and she brushed it off, saying, "It's not a big deal. I needed it more than you did." I told her that if she ever touched my car again, I'd call the police and report it stolen. She started crying, saying I was being dramatic and that she's under enough stress without me making her life harder. My parents sided with Sophie, saying she's pregnant and I should be more understanding. They even offered to pay for the gas and repair the scratch, but I told them that's not the point, it's about respect and boundaries. Now Sophie won't speak to me, my parents think I'm being heartless, and a couple of relatives have called to tell me I need to support her because she's young and scared. But I feel like she crossed a major line, and I don't owe her my car or my trust anymore. Am I the bad person for putting my foot down and refusing to help her anymore? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.